live by the adage that you're never too old to try something new.
Right.
Why is that? Why is that the motto that you choose to live by? And how do you work that thinking into your daily life?
Okay. I think, starting a career, your mid-30s and changing, your goals and, when I was younger, I thought I was definitely going to work in the corporate realm and just, stay on track, like do what everybody else was doing. And I felt that maybe, I was kind of too old to try something new. I was too old to change my career. And it proved to be wonderful. And I think that anyone at any point in their life, if they feel that need to grow in a different direction, should really pursue that and not let the outside world be a reason for avoiding that risk. And most people will be extremely happy and actually inspired by you that you change your life for the better. They'll want to do the same as well.
Nice. And if any, which organizations are you involved with? Are you part of any groups or clubs outside of your company?
Right. Well, I do belong to the Vegan Society of DC, the Vegetarian Society of DC as well. I belong to some raw vegan meetups. I belong to, I go to shul a lot with my husband. I go to Six and I a lot, Addis Israel, occasionally Kesher. So we just started going to the one in Arlington. It was formerly the Arlington Fairfax Shul. It just changed over. But we just moved here, so that's kind of why we just got affiliated with that. But for the most part,
DC?
What?
You moved here from
Northern Virginia.
McLean.
Yeah.
Right?
So for the most part, Six and I has been sort of our home shul right now. My husband's father is a rabbi, so we do a lot of individualized study as well about religious stuff. So it's interesting.
Sounds great. Well, that actually brings me to my next question. How, if at all, do your Jewish values affect your work?
So I was actually thinking about this the other day. Well, there's a lot of debate within the Jewish community about, the practice of yoga, because in some way, you are sort of worshiping like the sun or different kinds of imagery or something. And, is that like a religious philosophy or not? And I was actually talking about this the other day with someone, and we were saying, yoga is really about a supplement to any religious philosophy. You have a lot of people who are Christians who take yoga. You have a lot of Jewish people that take yoga. And it just deepens your own awareness of your own faith. So it's sort of very generic at this point, yoga. So in some ways, it brings me closer to God. And so it deepens my relationship within Judaism when I practice yoga, because I have that in mind. I'm not thinking about, so when I'm thinking about incorporating the spirituality around me, I think God's present around me. So does that make sense to you? Yeah.
To me, sure.
Okay. Hopefully, maybe I can answer that better. I'm trying to think of another way of expressing it.
If you want to rephrase it, you certainly can. And I think that's pretty clear, but it's recorded, so there's no problem if you do want to rephrase. Are there any like yogic principles that you find overlap with Jewish values or principles? I mean, do you ever in your yoga practice find yourself maybe find anything really resonating with you as a Jew, or perhaps when you teach your clients, maybe you have clients who you explain things to a certain way?
Sure. Well, one thing that comes to mind is the namas and niyamas, which are principles in yoga philosophy, and some of them include be kind to others, don't harm animals, which is very similar to the way we kill animals in in Jewish tradition. There are a lot of things that overlap. You're basically thinking of having a very ethical, kind approach to life, which is very similar to the Ten Commandments and how we decide to move through life being productive, good people.
Great.
So, sure.
And finally, you chose a career that appeals to you and that makes you happy. So maybe it wouldn't be right to ask what you do for fun, because I get the impression that your career is fun for you.
It is fun for me, yeah.
But what else do you do for fun? What hobbies do you have?
Okay, well, obviously, cooking is sort of part of my job, but I love to go dancing. That's like I do that all the time.
Salsa?
What? I haven't tried salsa, but I go club dancing. Like, yeah, I do that a lot. And I spend a lot of time with my friends. I just got married a couple months ago, so I've kind of just been transitioning into having like a nice home and organizing that, like buying lots of things for the house. But yeah, I kind of just have a simple life. I love going to art galleries and farmers markets and just being amongst nature and swimming, hiking, things like that.
That's nice. Is there anything you'd like to add? Anything that we should know about you?
Let me think. Well, I should say that yoga is a way of life, and a lot of people are intimidated by getting into it because they feel they have to be a certain weight or they have to be a certain age. And in my practice, I have people from all ages, people who are very young in their low 20s who just want to have the yoga butt and want to be very, just look really great. And you have other people who are much older, like in nursing homes, and they just are very happy that they can move their arms and that brings them peace. So I think there's so many different ways of interpreting what means to you, what is helpful for you within the yoga practice, that you should be able to find some part of it, whether the nutrition aspect or the flexibility aspect, and just try slowly to embrace it and not think so much you have to look or be a certain way that society demands of you. That's important.
So do you think that everyone can really benefit from yoga? I mean, is it one of those things that is just kind of a positive thing to add to most people's lives, in your opinion?
Exactly. And you can start out very small. With the types of people that I work with and types of classes, I've had a fun experience. I was teaching a very sweaty, like hot, like not Bikram yoga, but just it was a very acrobatic kind of yoga class, and a guy actually sweat. He slid off the mat, the yoga mat, and it was like this big crash because his hands were like really wet. And so people don't really understand that yoga can be very intense exercise just as much as running. It depends on the kind of class you take. Or it can be very gentle and relaxing, like right before you go to bed. So I think, it runs the gamut of all different types of classes. There's rocket yoga, which does a lot of headstands and all that kind of craziness. But yeah, and the philosophy, I think, should not be overlooked too, because the philosophy of caring about your body, caring about yourself, is so significant, and that's really much more part of yoga than even the asanas, all the different movements. One thing I wanted to add is part of the reason I was able to lose weight and get healthier was because of the practice itself of the transitioning between difficult poses, stopping yourself, being present in the moment, pushing yourself, and then coming back. It allows you to really accept yourself, accept your life the way it is, and it's just such a metaphor for the highs and lows of life, and to keep trying again without feeling judgment. There's no mirrors in doing a yoga class because we don't want people to feel self-conscious. We just want them to feel confident with the body that God gave them. And every pose is not going to look the same for different people because people are not always designed that way. We have a lot of people who have scoliosis, so their back's going to have that curve to it, and they can't really get into like a triangle pose, or it just won't look the same. And that's just the beauty of life. Everyone's on their own journey through getting healthier, and we should all, as a community, especially the Jewish community, embrace that.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Really appreciate it.
Sure.
Lacey?
I was trying not to cough. That's all.